Hello there guys, Elita Legionarii here, and today I will be bringing you an interesting 3v3 for Rome Total War, 31k rules of course. We've quite a few pike factions in this one, and I'm actually using Pontus in this battle. Again, it's one of those factions that are more challenging to use, however they do, if it works well, they do tend to reap very great rewards, but I am not particularly skilled in the use of Pontus, but I do enjoy their challenge. So it's a bit more different with the factions here, in that only half of the factions are Rome and the rest are pikes, which, you know, is becoming more common these days, which I like. It mixes it up more and it's kind of just more interesting. Anyway, yeah, I'm playing as Pontus. My army consists of 4 scythe chariots, which are more or less maxed out. I think they're gold, and 2 EXP. A couple of them might be 3 EXP. Then I have 14 bronze shield pikemen. And if you look here, I've got a bit of an interesting formation. This formation is, for pikes, is actually very good for versing Rome, because it particularly reduces peeler, and that the peeler damage you take always gets directed into these frontal units or in the middle or on the sides. It's never directed evenly like it is in a traditional formation. It also is quite good for slowing them down and breaking up lines and things. It's quite a good stalling formation against Rome, but you wouldn't use it against other pikes. So in this battle I obviously have a Carthaginian opponent and I do not want to fight them. But then again, that's pretty standard. If you're playing as Pontus, you simply do not want to fight Carthage on any level, unless it's an sort of cavalry battle, because you're going to lose it otherwise. And I also have 2 units of chariot archers as well, which are, I believe, 2 experience and a gold attack, of course. Then one of them might have a bronze defense upgrade because I had a little money left over. To my left we have Greek clansman Kleomenis, of course he's using the name Lacedaemon. His army is Macedon, of course, which is pretty common for Cleo. He's got 4 Cretan archers, 2 companion cavalry and 14 raw pikes. And on my right here, in command of the Julii Romans, we have COH clansman OrmanLange. Orman has got 6 Praetorian cavalry, a legionary first cohort, which is actually his general, which is not a good idea, because that's a double morale unit. But you can get basically 2 morale boosting units if you have one in if your general in an urban cohort and a legionary first cohort as well. So putting them both in one unit means you don't get 2 morale boosting units, you only got 1, and if you lose it, it's like losing your first cohort and your general simultaneously. The morale impact is huge, so you're better off having the first cohort by itself and a general's bodyguard, and a urban cohort general. It's better that way. Anyway, he's got 13 urbans and 1 legionary first cohort. Our opponents are Blaze General Pug on Fire. This is the Mad Pug. I've played him in a bit of Medieval 2, I think, but he seems to have come over to Rome Total War and he seems to want to get involved in the 31k realm, which is cool. He's playing as Carthage. His build consists of, I believe it is 10 Sacred Band, 6 Sacred Band Cavalry, which is interesting. The Sacred Band Cavalry, it's not bad. You can make use of it, but it's generally not used by Carthaginian players in 31k. Not on this level. It can be, and it can work, but it's generally not the general way to do things with Carthage. Then it looks like he's got, I think, 2 or 3 Balearic Slingers. Then we have Heaven Clansman Bacon Bob Commander. This is Banjo, or Numidian if we go back far enough. He is in command of the Brutii Romans. He's got 6 Praetorian cavalry. He's got a legionary first cohort, and I believe that is 12 urban cohorts. And I have no idea, I guess this has got to do with his new naming, but he insists on bringing pigs into battle, and we've tried telling him they're useless. They can't do anything. They have no morale effect on the opponents. They're useless against elephants, which is what they're supposed to be good against, and of course elephants are never in these games anyway. They're a complete waste of time, but he insists. I think it's just a joke, but it is a terrible unit, but I don't know. He seems to enjoy them, so I'll let him have his fun, I suppose. And then on the right we have Brotherhood member Spartan Leonidas. Spartan Leonidas has got 3 Praetorian cavalry and I believe 17 urban cohorts. I think. He's got 2 archer auxiliary as well, rather, so that's 15 urban cohorts. So that's our armies. So what we want to try and do in this game is first we're going to pretty much link up, and we want Cleo to take on Carthage, because that's not a good Carthage army for Macedon. Macedon should be able to defeat, I believe, 12. It's 12 Sacred Band. They should be able to defeat 12 Sacred Band pretty solidly, just because they've got good numbers for it. So it's not really a great, it's got its uses, but it's not for Macedon, which is why we want to get Cleo into Carthage so we can destroy it. So for now we're just going to link up and support each other as much as we can, and I'm going to see if I can go off here on the flanks and find some targets opportunity for my chariot archers. Now if we have a look at their forces, only Spartan Leonidas brought 2 archers. Nobody else brought archers, and when you're facing Pontus, it's important to have a good number of archers in most scenarios, unless you're going to flat rush. But even then it's a good idea to have them, because it means the Pontus player has to be very cautious about placement of his scythe chariots. In this case I only have 2 archer auxiliary to worry about, and Cleo's got 4 Cretan archers, so it's a good chance, and I've got 2 chariot archers as well, so we've got 6 missile units here, so it's a good chance we should be able to take out Spartan Leonidas's archer auxiliary, which means I can move about with relative safety on the battlefield from any archers, because there won't be any. Now Balearic slingers are very good at killing, or slingers in general are very good at killing chariots, so they'll still be a nuisance, but there's not a lot of them either, so to be honest they probably don't have enough missiles when using Pontus, so that's going to work to my advantage. Now I just want to point out this battle was quite atrociously laggy when we were playing it, so pretty much all 6 of us, probably excluding Cleo, he seemed to be relatively safe from problems, but the rest of us all had issues trying to control our armies under the lag. Cleo seemed to be relatively okay in this fight. I think he had a few little issues, but not as bad as anybody else. So there will be times in this battle where things were a bit of annoyance for us, pretty much all of us, when we were playing this, because especially with factions like Pontus and generally other pike factions, but particularly Pontus, because chariots can be very difficult to control in lag, and pikes can be a bit tricky in lag too. So I got a bit of a double whammy there with the lag, but it wasn't too bad. Anyway, we can see that Cleo is shooting up units here, and of course the pigs tried to do something, and of course they did nothing. It's totally useless. I still don't know why BanjoBob insists on bringing them. They're completely and utterly useless. They can't do anything other than provide the victorious team with a nice pile of bacon by the end of the battle. Now here, I don't know what BanjoBob is doing here. I think he glitched badly too, because his general's up front, and I don't think Orman was going to shoot him because of glitch courtesy here, but he needs to sort this quickly, because that's a serious glitch. It's a terrible formation anyway, so he needs to sort that before his general gets killed. So at the moment, as you can see, Cleo is shadowing Carthage, which is what we want. I am skirmishing away with some of these cav, my chariot archers, and I'm going to go around the back here and see if I can pick away at some of BanjoBob's forces for now. But I'm holding back here, as you can see, because there's still missile units here that can shoot me, and Pontus is very, very vulnerable to this because they've got a very small shield, just like the Seleucids on their pikes, so as thus they are very easily killed by archers. As you can see, this front unit is already down to 104, so I'm hanging behind Cleo's position here because I want to be protected from them. But what Cleo wants to do is he wants to eventually force Carthage out this way, and when that happens, I'll just slide into the centre between Cleo and Orman here, and I'll delay Spartan Leonidas' engagements. So they end up trying to chase my chariot here, so I'm going to bring it back. I'm not getting a heap of kills here because these guys are in loose, but these guys are not going to be that useful to them because their cavalry's not as good. The Sacred Band cavalry is not very good for 31k. Usually, it's not that it's not good, but it's outclassed usually, basically. Looks like the pigs regrouped, Lord knows how. And I think my guys are on fire at will, so I'm just going to, I believe, quickly go in and kill these guys in a moment. I think I had skirmish mode on, that's why my guys are running, but really I could just flatten these guys if I wanted to, and I think I'm going to do that now. I'm even in loose formation. That tells you how crap they are. Look at that, routes on impact. So I don't know why he insists on bringing those. It really, it's fun for a good little joke every now and again, but it really does actually make it a lot harder for his team because he's got one less effective unit. So if we look on the left, Cleo has started engaging here with Sacred Band. Now, Sacred Band are not pushing forward their numbers here, so if they fight individually like this, Macedon's going to easily stomp them. I'm using my Chariot Archers to try and shoot his flank here if possible, and I'm also aiming at the back of these Urbans. Eventually I will aim at the General's unit for BanjoBob and take it out. It looks like there's a bit of a peeler duel going on between Orman and BanjoBob, pretty even so far. And as you can see, I have indeed slipped into this middle position now, just so that Cleo can't be outflanked. And the key with Macedon is you're never going to use, not Macedon, sorry, with Pontus, you're never really going to use your pikes aggressively. Almost never, unless there's a very good opportunity or reason to do so, because they are not very good bronze shield pikemen, but they will hold for a good while. If it's in a good formation, they should hold out for long enough for something else to happen somewhere on the battlefield, which is basically what I'm going to go for here. Cleo's going to try and bait some peeler, I believe, but I'm not bothered if this front unit gets mowed down, because that's what it's for. This unit's expendable. Well, I probably shouldn't have put upgrades on, that was a mistake. But I bring my Chariots this way because we're going to try and take down these Sacred Band, because the Sacred Band are much weaker, and it'll be very easy kills for size Chariots. And I've got a couple of Cleo's companions here as well, which get a good charge. But it also, he goes into a, this is a good move by General Pug here, Pug on Fire, to go into a tight order formation like this to resist the Chariots. But what it does is it puts him into tight formation where I can shoot him. But he's going to bring his Balearic Slingers along, which is going to force me to just to pull back a little bit, because I don't want those Chariots getting shot by Slingers, because Slingers are very good at killing Chariots. So I'm just going to go into Cantab Circle and just get rid of these guys here and the Balearic Slingers. Now over here, I'm still targeting the back of BanjoBob's General, which I've dropped into the 60s, but because of the lag in this game, these guys wouldn't retreat, so they're going to get like literally caught by infantry here. I was telling these guys to disengage and they didn't move because of the lag, and it was pretty embarrassing to lose this Chariot Archer to an urban cohort on foot. So that was pretty embarrassing there, but that was really very difficult to control the lag. Anyway, you can see that Spartan Leonidas is pushing in here, so I'm going to use my guys just to block this here. He's trying to slip into the back here, so I'm going to need to pull some units off to cover Cleo here. At the moment, here you can see, I'm not sure what he's doing here. BanjoBob, he's just charging the front of these pikes. He's going to get himself killed. That was not a good cav charge. I'm going to pull some infantry over this way because I can see that Spartan Leonidas is trying to sort of gang up on Macedon here. But there's some pikes around here, but Claire's doing a nice job of drawing them off, which is giving me my opening so I can go get rid of some of these cavalry, which will give us a cavalry advantage. But I'm going to pull over more of my pikemen here, and I'm just, as you can see, I'm just bringing up some pikes here just to cover Cleo's flank here, help build him up, and so he can hold, because he's killing Carthage here on the front, because he actually managed to outflank him here. It's a nice bit of work there. As you can see, me and Cleo going here, and because these guys are in a pretty tight formation, they do actually hold against these guys, these chariots, quite a while, longer than I would have liked, and we do manage to kill them. And as long as we keep moving like this, the cav will get destroyed, but a little bit worried because I'm going to get counter cav charged by all their cavalry here. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm going to lose my chariots. I probably should have withdrawn, but I think they would have caught me. So what I'm trying to do is trying to rip them up, but BanjoBob does a good job here. He gets himself into tight, close order formation. There's some infantry around here, so my chariots are going to die. But they will kill a pretty good number of cavalry in the process, which should deplete their ability to fight, because as you can see, Carthage is being destroyed by Macedon because it didn't have enough infantry to deal with Macedon. And I've still got plenty of pikes in reserve, so we can block out any cavalry attacks. Orman is now pushing through here. Now, during the battle, I wanted Orman to come in behind, because all this cavalry over here, which has been severely mauled by my chariots, as you can see they're almost completely destroyed, it's all occupied over here, and it remained occupied over here for quite a while. So Orman could have slipped around the side and even behind and done a rear charge and poured all his infantry on. He's got some infantry over here. He doesn't really need it over here because me and Cleo are okay over here. He should have poured more infantry in this way and then gone around behind with his cam. I asked him about 2 or 3 times to do so, but I don't think he understood what I was trying to ask him, because he keeps making these cavalry charge up through the middle, but he really doesn't need to, because there's no cavalry over here to counter him, so he can just go behind and do a full-on rear charge, which would be more effective. At this stage I've got some of my chariots here in the back, shooting the back of these guys here. Cleo's pushed forward to engage them. I'm just backing Cleo where I can on the battlefield, but it's going to be Orman who's going to need more cavalry infantry support, so I'm going to start shifting pikes to deal with that in a minute. I don't know what my pikes are doing here. They mustn't have their pikes down or something. I thought I had them down, but I might not have. But anyway, you can see we drive off these guys over here, getting rear shots with my chariot archers, and now I'm going to start bringing in some of my pikes just to reinforce Orman here. But again, like, Orman's making all these cavalry charges against testudos on the front, and it's just not breaking them, or it's breaking them extremely slow. But there's no cavalry here, so all he needs to do is just come around the back here and just go bang, and they would have been dead long ago. But he didn't do that, so I tried telling him to do it, but he just didn't do it. These guys over here, these urbans don't need to be here. All the infantry should just be here. Orman should be able to finally destroy this testudo, I think. But yeah, again, like here's another mistake from Orman. He's kind of charging through my pikes, and he doesn't tell me. He's got no reason to do this when he can go right behind. And he's just getting his cavalry killed here. So I might have watched for him when he was doing that, because I didn't want to impale his own, him impaling his cavalry with my pikemen here. So, you know, I said to him, just go around behind. There's no cavalry to counter him, so you don't need to worry about it. Me and Cleo dealt with the cavalry, so we could have. You know, he could have just gone around the back and charged. Again, he's going through here through the pikes, and he doesn't message it to me. And I just spotted it at the time, so I lift my pikes here, so he makes his cav charge, which gets the mass route going anyway. But a bit of an unnecessary risk there, I think, with his cav, but it works out all right. I got my chariots here, which I do believe caused a scare effect, which will help that route. So we get a nice mass route there on our opponents here, and that was a pretty nice win. But it was a pretty atrocious game on terms of the lag. But fortunately, of course, that's not in the replay. But it was very difficult to control a lot of our units in this battle. There were issues for most of us in this fight, but it turned out all right, and I think it makes a pretty solid replay. And again, I don't do a lot of battles with Pontus, because that's quite a tricky faction to use. I like them though, they're a lot of fun, but usually my micro is probably just not up to scratch with a faction like Pontus, but it worked out alright in this battle. I had good allies, good support. I enjoyed this one, it was a lot of fun, and I mean, I think, you know, like, it shows you, like, sometimes, like, if there's no cav or anything behind the enemy lines, there's no reason why you can't, you know, go right round behind, because it's more effective than charging straight through. So you need to be able to read if there's an opening for you to take, and you know, you did try and take that, because in that case my chariots, although they were destroyed with a little bit of support from Cleo's cav and I think some of his archers, really ended up destroying both of the Brutii and SPQR cavalry anyway, which meant Orman had all the cavalry power on the field to go and do rear charges at his leisure, but he didn't seem to notice it. Anyway, it was a really good game, a heroic victory, so it's nice. I don't get too many heroics these days. I haven't quite made it over 1,000 kills, but I do like to console myself and say that I only lost 500 men, which isn't too shabby with Pontus, given how kind of crappy they are, at least in terms of infantry. But Cleo and Orman have done nice with 1,500 each, and only Spartan Leonidas really performed that well for his team. If we look here, my stats, again, the chariot archers, really nice kills there, and the scythe chariots. This pikeman, and this pikeman did not too shabby, but for Pontus, the pikes are really just a holding force. It's not very common for Pontus to get many kills with its bronze shields. It's all about the chariots. But you've got to be very careful with chariots, because they're kind of like a, I guess the term glass cannon, you know, they can be very, 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 very effective, or they can be totally crap if you don't use them properly and cost you your entire team. Pontus is a faction like that. It's either big win or or usually, and most of the time, it's like a sort of a big win or a big loss, kind of like Germania, the same sort of thing. I like them though. I like the challenge, the fun faction. So, good game to everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Now, do any of these people have channels? No, I don't think they do. So I don't need to link anybody. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me what you think. Bit of pike action there. Always fun to see the pike battles. I find the big pike battles actually be more interesting than just full-on Rome. Even though I like full-on Rome, I think just find pikes to be more interesting. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon next time.